With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Live from Martinsville Speedway, Ridgeway, Virginia, we bring you round 7 of season 4 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series. My name is Dylan Coyle. Alongside me is Dane Barrett. And Dane, we've got a fun evening of events tonight. 225 laps at the half-mile paperclip. Going to be a fun time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm the honorary Brit on the broadcast. I mean, I shouldn't be here. I should leave the NASCAR stuff to you guys. I should, but Dustin asked me to hop in, so I'm here. And yeah, we've got a very simple circuit here. You know, it goes round, it goes left. It's very tight, and it provides racing, I think, is the best way to put it. Yes,
and racing here at Martinsville is one of the less, I guess, gentlemanly types of racing. It's short track racing, so we're going to see a lot of bumps, some tempers, some very angry words used, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But nonetheless, it's the last short track in this season of PRL Cup Series competition. Phoenix is next week. Kansas and then Chicagoland will be the championship race. Kansas will be the round of 8 cutoff for the playoff purposes, but very different racetracks we're going to go to over the next few weeks. A half mile, a mile, then 2 1/2 that are very different in how they drive. It's going to be a lot of fun to go there. Bristol opened the season. This entire 10 race stretch has a lot of unique facilities and venues that we visit here, Dane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got the Roval on there. It's like a road course as well. I love that place. It's fantastic. It appeals to the Brit in me. You got Talladega, obviously, like massive. Just that's as much as you can use to describe it. Bristol. You got Homestead, of course, not using a D-shaped layout, a tri-oval layout, as a lot of the other circuits do. Always a good, fun one. Sad to see it's not at the end of the schedule. I don't know who's in charge of scheduling here, but maybe we can have a word about that. I'd like to see that at the end. My NASCAR knowledge may be limited, but I do know that Homestead should go at the end, or Phoenix, one of them, but we've got neither of them. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, Phoenix as well, next time out, it's going to be great fun too. But Martinsville, definitely one of the trickier ones.
Yeah, and go off there, Dane, because even in the real world, in all the NASCAR National Series, I hope Homestead returns one time as the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series in NASCAR competition in the real world. I hope that returns at Homestead, Miami as the finale. But hey, we get the chance in PRL competition to get to different tracks than would normally be the finale here. But we'll talk a little bit about the Cup point standings as Abner Acosta currently leads 231 points over Trent Dinkel's 214. These two have been battling it out. It's one for the ages between them, but not too far behind is Jose Acosta, Chris Hudson, and pretty much the rest of the field, especially with the drop week starting to be taken in here. It's so fun. I love seeing these close battles as we get to the end. However, once we move on past Phoenix, it's really going to start to take shape of who between Abner and Trent are going to be the victors here. I honestly think that Abner Acosta obviously is in the driver's seat, no pun intended. Dinkle is here, not going to be able to qualify. So very unique moments happening as this season reaches its endpoint, Dan.
Yep, absolutely, and super close in the driver standings for this full season of the year, and pretty close as well in the Teams Championship too. I mean, not a whole lot separating those teams, especially if you look into the midfield. Maybe like 1 point separating Prestige Worldwide and SG Esports Ironmen in 3rd and 4th. So that battle for like the podium and teams is going to be really close come the end of the season. Only a few rounds left and looking nice and tight. Up at the top, Private Label Team Hype have a bit of a gap, but SG Esports, they can make some moves up in these last 4 races.
Yeah, absolutely. I think SG Sports can definitely make some moves with the Ironmen team, and feel like Pioneer, though, is kind of just sitting right there, feeling like second is going to be where it ends up, which is all good. But, you know, it's not just about the team or driver standings for Season 4. We also get a look at the playoff standings as we enter the round of 8. And no surprise, Dinkle, Acosta, they are sitting atop the leaderboard, but because we've moved into the round of 8, it's a little bit tighter. One mistake of a race could be detrimental to their hopes of advancing, but I still think Acosta and Dinkle are sitting with a easy shot at making it into that championship 4. However, Chris Hudson, James O'Brien, +2, +1 to the cut line, Pat Harvey, -1. And then you see Daniels, Jose Acosta, and Christian. They're all within striking distance. Those numbers underneath for 9th on back to 12th were the gaps at the end of the round of 12. Esau Jr. was 18 points back of advancing. Wasn't meant to be. I think we're going to see a very close battle here. Not just at Martinsville, but at Phoenix and Kansas, the 3 tracks in the round of 8, Dane.
Yeah, absolutely. The playoff system always nice and interesting, and yeah, trying to make your way above that cut line is going to be... It's interesting, right? As one of these drivers, are you focusing on the playoffs that you've been working towards for the entire year? Because this whole year has been a season, and the playoffs are just the end of it. Or do you focus on Season 4 standings? Because that could be 2 very different strategies of your races, depending on what you're trying to focus on, right? So it's interesting to see what the drivers do with that. But yeah, these next 3 rounds of the playoff schedule, probably the 3 most crucial rounds of their entire season.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be extremely crucial, and a slip up here, especially for drivers Christian, Jose Acosta, and Joshua Daniels. I mean, honestly, anyone who slips up once out of 3 through 8 could be season over in terms of playoffs. I do love how we get not just the playoff standings, but we also get that Season 4 bit of competition as well. It's a nice even point, but it is that time where we thank who makes it happen for us with the Precision Racing League, and that starts off with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Maradness. Maradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit maradness.com. And finally, Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Dane, those worst moments, as I always say, those are the ones that I would capture the most of, because that is what is in plentiful bounties for me. But nonetheless, we move on to Martinsville. Qualifying is over. 4 drivers have either elected not to qualify or were not allowed to qualify. Let's go through the 23-car grid with Abner Acosta getting the pole by 29 thousandths over Pat Harvey and 19.235 on the qualifying charts. Lou Christian and Robert Beasall Jr. round out your top 2 rows, while Joshua Daniels alongside Jose Acosta for 5th and 6th. Moving back to 7th is Chris Hudson and Rodrigo Loga, with James O'Brien and Park Hilliard rounding out the top 10. Tristan Callahan and Mike Witt round out row number 6, while Federico Windsor-Holder and Eric Papineau are row 7. Chris Vincent in the inside of row 8 with Tom Macy in 16th alongside him, Jose Medina and Colton Easterday in 17th and 18th. Jay McDonald, the last of the qualifying cars to set a time, with Trent Dinkle in 20th. Bradley Holly, Maverick Davis, and Richard Pruitt round out your 23-car field. Excited for this one. Going to be a lot of fun to see what these drivers do at Martinsville. An hour and a half limit to this race, 225 laps, whichever one comes first. I do think we're going to have a time limit race here, Dane. There are lots of potential for wrecks throughout this one, and lots of laps to try and get in a 1.5 hour time period.
Yep, and, well, I mean, cautions, right? Cautions are always a factor at Martinsville. Your slightest mistake, you're in a wall, you're spinning round. If you get into the back of somebody, they're around, they're blocking the entire track because it's quite narrow in the corners. They're causing pileups. It's like the Monaco of the NASCAR calendar. And, yeah, cautions, I feel like, are going to be a big factor. And trying to manage those as well, going to be a big factor in who comes out on top at the end of the day.
They say that, you know, Monaco is like riding your bicycle in your living room. I feel like Martinsville, that is a very apt description for it. It's just so tight. And when you're trying to run here, especially depending on the temperatures and the track conditions, which, by the way, it's relatively cool compared to what actually happened today in the real world. 65-degree ambient temperature Fahrenheit, 77-degree track temperature. It's not going to be melting off. These tires are not going to, that is. But as this race goes on, the very narrow concrete patch through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, you might see some different lines start to form based on, you know, everything going on with marbles and the rubber being laid down. It's very easy to get up to that asphalt on the outside of each corner, which, by the way, is banked a little bit less aggressively than the 12 degrees of banking on the concrete in the corners. But pace car has moved into pit road. 225 laps or 1 hour 30 minutes, whichever comes first. Abner Acosta will take the green flag. We're underway here at Martinsville Speedway, round 7, season 4 PRL Cup Series. Way up the track around turns 3 and 4 was Rodrigo Loga, shuffled out of the zone. We've got some lockups going into 1 and 2. More drivers going up the track. James O'Brien, one of them, losing a ton of positions. They're all trying to shuffle back for second. Going away with this race, though, is Abner Acosta, 3 wide down the front stretch. This is not going to work in a 1.
Yep, in a 1, 3 wide. That's never going to happen. 2 wide is sketch at best, and you want to put a third car down there. Backs out, does Daniels, and definitely the smart move, that one. But that's allowed a second's advantage to Abner Acosta, who's already flying out there.
Acosta is flying already. We've got drivers dropping like flies. Richard Pruitt had to go down pit road, got some tires and some damage repair. Chris Vincent did not take the green, nor did Bradley Holly. Only 20 cars on track and on the lead lap. Another car, Pruitt, in pit road. Abner Acosta continues to lead the way, but might have lost a couple hundredths here or there after they went single file. Caution is out. We've got some action going on in the back of the pack. Colton Easterday had an issue, got the tow back to pit road, and we'll get a replay of what happened. A very, very weird and awkward incident once we see it.
Yep, that's for sure, and yeah, we'll get a replay of that right about now. We'll see what happened now. It looks like they're coming down towards turn one. What?
Yeah, he just lost it under acceleration. A very weird looking wreck. No contact with anyone except the outside wall. I guess he saw the driver in front going a little bit high up the track, going a little bit slow. In front of him was the 30 or the 05 machine, the 35, excuse me, of Jay McDonald. He just saw him and I guess panicked. So here's the view. Yeah, this is Jose Medina's view from the dashboard. He just Mr. Hedge would like to take a picture of that, I will say.
Yeah, that's going to be a money shot right there, but so early in the stint, right? If that was a good few laps onto the race, you'd be like, okay, yeah, tires not in the best shape, but we're 5 laps in at that point, right? So
yeah,
very odd to see the car just go round like that, and the overcorrection in the end is what did it. But yeah, very strange way to kick off the first of what I'm expecting to be many cautions here tonight, but
yeah.
I'm hoping that cautions don't breed cautions after 5 laps, please, drivers.
Well, I think as you see this race continues, you're going to see a little bit of attrition rates start to become a factor, and because cars start to drop out and have problems earlier in the run, you think that that kind of leaves the drivers who are not having issues on track for longer. Right now, we had a field of actually 22, not 23 cars enter in. Vincent not taking the green flag is 6 laps down. Richard Pruitt has left the session. Reports of potentially having a incorrect setup applied, which would be very unfortunate. Easterday still in his pit box. Eric Papineau actually came into pit road during this caution. So at the moment, 19 cars on track, 19 cars on the lead lap. Easterday might have just left the session. So, oh boy, that's a lower number of cars than we originally thought was going to be in this race. And look at that, the clock is already coming down. I wonder why.
Yeah, producer Dustin decided that he's seen enough. That's all he needed. And yeah, he reckons we're already going to the clock. We don't need the lap counter because we're not going to need it by the end of the race. It would be funny if we did. This man's winning the race. He says, no, he's looking at the pace card. Yeah.
Oh,
I see it happening.
Oh, I can see it happening too. Most laps led in this race so far is definitely the iRacing pace car, but he decides, or she, whoever is driving that pace car, has come down pit road and might lead one more lap before these drivers cross the start-finish. Green flag back in the air. Barney decides to wave it. Acosta gets to the line. A little bit of a wiggle from Chris Hudson. He lost his advantage starting on the inside. And they're wrecking. Big mess in 1 and 2. It's Mike Witt and it's Maverick Davis, who I feel like always finds a way to get involved. But it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's an unfortunate one. Happened in the midfield, and yeah, you've got a whole bunch of drivers behind that really know where to go. So a lot of drivers are going to end up having been disadvantaged in some way from that one. But I think I may have jinxed it slightly. We'll take a replay and see what happened in towards turn number 1. And yeah, just turned around. Couple drivers in the wall.
So Brian actually, James O'Brien actually locked up heading into one and had nowhere to go. He apologized over the radio, and Witt and Davis, who, I mean, for maybe their credit, if you want to call it that, they have definitely been involved in different ways this year. However, that incident was not at all their fault. You can't put any blame on them. Just an unfortunate bit of happenstance, if you want to call it, that led to that happening. But yeah, Colton Easterday, by the way, said he put in our chat, actually. I like this. Updates while the race is going on. He said I was going straight, and all of a sudden my car decided, nah. So I appreciate the in-race information being given to us by drivers. It's kind of like what I kind of have to do to the media during a race when I'm doing PR for any of our cars and for Colleague Racing. I'm texting. I got Dave Burns. I'm like, hey, Dave, we're doing well. Or, hey, Dave, we're retiring.
Yeah, we don't like that second one too much, but it also comes with this job, right? Like being a commentator or a broadcaster or someone working with RaceSpotTV, and you decide to do a race and you end up on a broadcast. Now you are being scrutinized. It's like the producer has a fourth PC out there somewhere watching you all the time, so that they can pick up on anything that you do, whether it be good. They won't show it, but they'll know about it. If it's bad, if you spin, if you wreck, they're gonna show it. They're gonna bring you in for an interview afterwards, whether you like one or not. They're gonna talk to you about it, right? So, yeah, it's something that we get very used to as well. But
yeah,
it's nice when the drivers let us know what's happening, right? Because we can guess about what happens all we want, but if the drivers just come up to us and offer up this information, that's great. I love it. It makes my life so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not as organized as real world leagues and competitions. It's just a different beast sim racing. And whenever drivers in an iRacing league want to get more involved, whenever the league organizers want to be more involved, as PRL really is, it's got a wonderful group of characters along all of its series. We broadcast almost every night a PRL league, and it's a lot of fun. The drivers get involved, and there's sometimes a lot of emotions, and they carry over. And you know what they say? They say that we love drama, and I love drama. I enjoy it. I just don't like being a part of it. I like talking about it. How about some more drama? Green flag back in the air. Let's see how this goes. Restart number 2, and then there was the start. So far, so good, Dane.
So far, so good. I'm kind of wincing and cringing and waiting for something to happen on this opening. Now, can we get a lap under green? Is it going to happen? It is. And that's all we want, right? That's all we want, as we see the cars making their way back through 1 and 2 again. Acosta well in charge of this one and has probably much better tires on that machine than maybe you would have been expecting at this point in the race.
Yeah, for sure. And Abner Acosta had to know he wasn't going to be running away with this race when he had the lead early on. He's had the lead all race, but he stretched out to around a second in the first few laps that we had green flag action. Wasn't going to last. There's going to be cautions. There's going to be incidents in this race. Pat Harvey just stalking him in behind. Luke Christian falling back. Maybe an extra 1 or 2 car lengths in the difference between that gap between Acosta and Harvey himself. But in the back, in the midfield, there's a lot of 2-wide racing still going on. More drivers going up against the wall, having to come back in line, uncomfortably so. Eric Papanow in that 37 U.S. Army Chevy Camaro ZL1 trying to make some moves right now. He's in the back of the field. Luke Christian just set the fastest lap in 19.34. That is... I don't know if that's going to stay because he is in traffic. If you get clean air, if you get free track in front of you, Dane, at Martinsville, that is just an incredible feeling, and he doesn't have that yet.
Yeah, I've done one race, actually, at Martinsville. I have ventured out, and yeah, it was an experience. I think is the correct term for that. Okay. But That we don't really need to go any further, do we? I think everyone can know how that race ended. But yeah, the drivers are keeping it nice and clean for now. We'll see as the stint goes on if they're going to be able to keep doing that. But I think not having a car in front of you is just going to make your life so much easier. You can see everything a whole lot better. These cars are wide, right? They're pretty big cars. You don't want to be sat right behind one. You've got to stay super close, and it just makes everything much more tricky to be fast. And a couple of drivers going side by side a bit further back. Looks like Papano's just got up into P14.
Yeah, absolutely. Papano, remember, after the very, very, very brief early green flag run, he came into the pits, got some tires on that 37. Oh, Dinkel's around! As well as the 76. Dinkel saved it, but the 76 did not of Tristan Callahan. Oh, and what happened there? Dinkel involved again, or excuse me, Jose Medina spun around way after. It was because the 76 came down into him. Hold the brakes.
Yeah, trying to get out of the way and ended up getting into the side of another car, and that's always not going to be good. Want to have a look at the number 9 and see what kind of damage there is. Obviously, Dinkel starting right at the back of the grid has made significant progress through these opening few cautions and managed to hold on to that. That car, to me, is not looking bad. That car looks very clean.
It barely
I wonder what happened.
It barely had any contact. We'll see the replay here. Dinkel just lost it on entry. Mid-corner trying to get the car rotated. Yeah, I don't even know if he hit the curb. I think he just lost it. Lost the back end coming around. Maybe the car was a little bit loose. So, yeah, that was a bad move from the 76 of Callahan. If you're spun on track, just lock it down. Get back on when everyone else gets by you. If I'm Jose Medina, I'm a little bit upset for getting turned there when I didn't do anything wrong. But Dinkel, I wonder if he's, and we get another replay. Yeah, he just lost it. And then the 76, hold the brakes, boom,
bang.
That's
Yikes.
That's not great.
You kind of get it though, right? Because they were only just about squeezing through behind him. So you kind of get it, but at the same time, just stay where you are.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, but you gotta hold the brakes. Anything that happens after the fact is not really on you if you hold the brakes.
Unless you do that.
Unless you do that, for sure. Tom Macy.
Definitely on you.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Tom Macy comes down pit road, gets some service to that car, and so Tristan Callahan was having issues getting his car started down the backstretch. I think he lost a lap there. He finally got that car refired up. Not sure what the problem was, but he might have just lost a lap. So to add, you know, so we're hearing from our crew in the background that he just kind of lost it behind the pace car. So, there we go. Yeah, he exited the pits that were closed at the time he came in behind the pace car, meaning he needs to let everyone go. He does not get to stay on the lead lap. The good thing for Callahan is I don't think we're done wrecking, and he is currently in the free pass position with no one else 1 lap down. All right, let's get it refired again. Let's get going again as we're about to go back to green flag racing at the paperclip. It's not been short of expectations so far in the incidents as our race control aficionado, Nick Hunter, makes sure that everybody knows, hey, we've had 3 cautions in 15 laps. Let's see some good racing here. Abner Acosta will lead the way. Harvey on the outside. Horrible jump for Harvey. Great jump for Acosta. Luke Christian down the inside of Harvey, trying to make a move work. It's been Harvey in second all day, but Luke Christian might take advantage here, has inched halfway ahead, going into 3.
I mean, you can pretty much take any of these restarts or race starts at this point, and they all look identical up at the front. Acosta just getting fantastic getaways every time, and the driver in second being left behind to run side by side with the guy on the inside. So same old, and Acosta looking to make a nice little gap here. We'll see how long this one lasts, and Harvey gets around the outside and gets back into that P2.
Yeah, that's an impressive bit of driving there from Pat Harvey, but I would argue that Christian wasn't necessarily taking the best inside line there. You do want to come up off that curb a little bit on the inside, which he's definitely leaving. You see that space, not right up against those red and white stripes there, which is smart, but you almost... what I saw a lot this weekend is drivers that we get a lockup from Anthony Acosta. We saw a lot of drivers diamonding it in the corner, kind of coming up high at the middle of 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and then coming down low, swinging back down. It's all about trying to find where the grip is. And early in this race, it's going to be a lot different than what it is later on in the run. Acosta, though, I mean, yes, he's under fire, but is he doing maybe a tiny bit of, hey, I don't have to push it too hard right now?
Yeah, well, looking back now at Harvey, and saw a couple corners ago, big old lockup in the braking zone for Acosta. Tyres are not going to be enjoying that, that's for sure.
Not at all. That is an unfortunate thing. But we see Trent Tinkle playing a little bit of accordion right now. He is not happy with being in the middle of this pack, even though that's a pretty stout attack and offense so far in this one. He got lucky. He got away with not having to be sent to the back of the pack or really any sort of positional penalty at that caution, because he technically wasn't the cause for the caution there, even though he was the reason that the yellow eventually came out, but the iRacing system did not have him registered as the reason for the caution, so he doesn't lose anything based on where he was running at the time that the flagman Barney waved that yellow flag. 18 minutes into this one, we're on lap 39 of racing action of what we should have 225 laps, or another, give or take, 71.5 minutes.
So they make their way back round. I love that shot of them right on the curb. You can just hear the engine much better going through as they fly by. Yeah, there we go. I love it. I mean, you don't really see too much of the racing necessarily. It doesn't give you the best overview of what's going on, but cargo burr, and I like it.
Cargo burr. Hey, that's a fun thing. What first got everybody into racing? Some people say the look of the cars. The other, more correct half says because of the sounds of the cars. And it's always cool to see them running around the bottom here, and just it's a very different vibe at Martinsville and on short tracks in the stock car world in the USA, and sometimes it's more fun because of it. It's definitely more wrestling storyline impactful because of it. I'll say that for sure at short tracks around the country. But we continue moving it through here. 18 cars on the lead lap, 20 cars still in this race. Chris Vinson was able to get everything potentially fixed. He's running 23 laps down, but he is running out there right now. The SSR lead driver had some setup issues coming into this one. Might be all fixed at the moment. He'll ride around and maybe look to pick up some spots from drivers who have issues throughout the rest of this race. You know what we can talk about just a little bit, Dane?
Enlighten me.
Yes, I will enlighten you.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about playoffs. Playoffs!
Ooh, yes. I love playoffs. Oh!
Oh! Yeah, that was a push up the track. Papinow had to swing up high. Mike Witt taking advantage of that problem there. And how about the 79 trying to take advantage down the inside? Rodrigo Loga, who started 8th, had his own set of issues early on, trying to make up some positions. This is a good little battle, leaning on each other a little bit. It's just short track racing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little shove off the track. I mean, I'm kind of used to that because I do enjoy the rallycross side of racing, right? And that's about the only way you're getting past someone. Similar to Martinsville, right? If you don't push someone up the track, are you going to get past them? Probably not. So do it. But yeah, I'm just taking a look here. That's a lot of Chevys, right? Like, that's a lot of Chevys. Not a lot of people going for the Ford. Not a lot of people going for the Camry. If only we had 2 fewer Camrys, then, you know, the world would be a better place.
Wow. Wow. Unhappy with Pat Harvey, apparently, being in second in a Toyota machine at this current point in time. He is keeping pace, by the way, with Abner Acosta. Maverick Davis trying to make a move on the 33 of James O'Brien. Now, James O'Brien currently came into this race 1 point to the good in this playoff battle. Remember, it's the first of the 3-race mini-season in the round of 8. And let's kind of take a look at what these drivers are doing. Let's go back from Luke Christian and Jose Acosta, Joshua Daniels, and Pat Harvey. What's unbelievable is that they consist of 4 of the top 5, 2nd through 5th, going into this lap number 51 of the race here at Martinsville. So they've been impressive. They've been good in this one. However, Chris Hudson, James O'Brien, they have not been as impressive. Hudson still running in 8th, James O'Brien running in 9th. They've had their issues. I would say more O'Brien, of course, causing one of the earlier incidents. Trent Dinkle, plus 55, Abner Acosta. We know they're pretty much good. Dinkle, an average running position of 7th, is more than enough to get him into the tournament. But nonetheless, we've gone back to the lap counter. They've earned it, says our producer, Dustin.
Right, wait for it, wait for it. Give it 10 seconds.
Give it 10 seconds, and if there's another mess because we've went back to the lap counter, we know who to blame. For focused in on this battle for 4th right now. Jose Acosta, Joshua Daniels, Robert Beasall Jr., and Trent Dinkle. Beasall Jr., who missed this round of the playoffs by 18 points, trying to show everyone, hey, he still has what it takes to compete here. As he got loose, Dinkle did, and he gets underneath Beasall Jr. I should say Beasall Jr. got loose. Dinkle takes advantage, makes the move easy, does it through 1 and 2. In front, there's a little bit of traffic to deal with. The 05 of Tom Amacy has gone a lap down this time by. Now sitting in the free pass position, but might get involved here with the battle going on your screen at this current moment.
Yeah, but look at the playoff drivers, and Dinkle is one of the drivers that I was looking at thinking, that's not the greatest way of starting the race. Hello, what's going on there?
Yikes. Amacy just got way up high and is hitting the wall.
Hell melon.
All right, Ross. Oh, goodness. Yeah, he's trying to get out of the way, but he's doing it to the detriment of his car. You see that damage to that right front fender almost getting into the wall again. So he's trying to get out of the way, but he's being unpredictable, which is the worst thing to be when you are a lapped car. That's a tiny bit better, but he's still trying to get out of the way. That's an uncomfortable position to be in here. You're going to have to be doing that a lot at this track. Just learning how to not necessarily be a moving chicane is difficult here.
Yeah, it's managing traffic is difficult.
Ooh,
Best of times up the track. 76 goes through. Says thank you very much.
Eric Papanow having some problems with getting slowed down under braking. He's locking up those tires, and it happened a few times in a row here, trying to make the move or get this position back. Tristan Callahan did not pass for position, but he's still struggling. We rejoin this battle going on for 4th. Oh, how about Papanow back in the 37. Might have been some contact, some metal or aluminum composite bodies going into outside walls here at Martinsville. Now we go back to that top battle. You know, sometimes that happens. We start talking and the paths just cross, and we're working now. We're on board driving with the, I believe it's the 3, yes, of Robert B. Saul Jr. Watching the 77 machine of Joshua Daniels in front. How about a move? Jose Acosta, Trent Dinkle. Dinkle forcing it in there, leaning on the 42 car just a tad. Side by side, heading into turn 3. Dinkle is fast. Caution comes out. Oh, and the 42 and the 9 come together momentarily. A wreck has happened, and Dinkle apologizes for that. So Jay McDonald is what we're hearing is the reason, yes, for the caution. He got loose on the exit of 4, went into the inside wall, and left the session. So now drivers are using it under caution as an excuse to get down pit road for the first time in this race. I expect everyone to come into the pits. That's on the lead lap. We're going to get the pit stops. Acosta coming in. Eric Papanow has stayed out on the leader, I should say. One of the lead lap drivers to stay out. He is the only one to do that, so he will keep drivers from being able to wave around. Acosta and crew get into their pit boxes, get those right sides lifted up. It is going to be a heavy tire wear kind of day for all of these competitors. Who's going to be first out there? It was almost synchronized coming off the jacks for Acosta, Harvey, Christian. Those are your top 3. Trent Dinkle moves, stays, I should say, in 4th. He had just made the move on Jose Acosta, who comes out in 5th. But I think Papanow just made a mistake, actually, because he's back down pit road now. Here's a replay of the incident. The 35 just gets loose, and Jay McDonald hits that inside wall and says, you know what? I'm done.
Martinsville's not for me.
Martinsville, was that you saying it as it's not for you or not for Jay?
Not for Jay. Oh, yeah, I agree with Dustin's answer, and I
was hoping you would agree with that, yes.
Just yes.
Yes.
But I would like to say something directly to Dustin. I'm seeing lap 66 on the lap counter here. I think you know what to do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Order 66.
Order 61 minutes and 41 seconds, I guess. We'll go for it.
It will be done, my lord. We get to 1 minute, 1 second. Wait. 1 hour, 1 minute, 30 second. I read that a little bit too quickly.
1 minute remaining in this race. You heard it here first.
Oh, Martinsville brings out the worst in people, and it's bringing out the worst in you and I, Dane, I think. It's okay, though.
This is peak commentary from Dane Bed right here. I don't know what
This
you're
is. Oh, man. You know Martinsville has train tracks right behind the backstretch that I don't believe
I did not know that.
Yes, it does. I don't believe a train. You can see it right there. It's modeled in. Yeah, it's you'll sometimes see some train related things going on with Martinsville race events. I will say that parking for these races can be a pain. The haulers, at least for Xfinity, are parked way up the hill, not in the infield. It's a whole thing. We'll talk about that later on. Abner Acosta has led every single lap as we get to lap 69 here. 1 hour change remaining. Back to green flag racing. Oh, and a big move down the inside. Christian, a horrible start. Harvey takes advantage of it, and he gets clear. Dinkle in the 3rd.
Side by side for 4th and 5th, nearly getting into the back of each other here as they bunch up in the corner. Now coming off the exit, Christian wants that 3rd place back, but he's not going to get a chance this time.
Remember, tires are not up to temp right now. They're fresh, they're new. We're going to see some faster lap times. Look at that big block by the 21 on the 77. Christian Daniels, both trying to make it into the next round in the championship for Maverick Davis around. Caution has come out, and that was a lockup. Fortunate 3 cars involved, and actually when we see the 3 cars that were involved in this incident, it will remind you of the 3 cars that were involved in an earlier incident in this one.
Oh, well, I'll wait for Dustin to show us what exactly happened there. There was a bit of damage to the front end of that Chevy as they came out of the barrier, and with 59 minutes left, nobody going to pit now, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the replay. What's going to happen? Big old lockup. Oh, it gets turned around as well because of it, and yeah, that was a pretty like 90-degree impact to the wall. Not ideal for the health of a Chevy.
It is not ideal at all. It is the second time that a 3-car incident tonight has involved those 3 cars. The 33, the 15, and the 88. They are glued to each other. Here's the view from Mike Witt. It's a very brash late move from Maverick Davis to try and move down the inside there. And 3, the lane wasn't there, and he went for it. But when you're in the braking zone, even if you're behind, don't move, as we see. I don't even think Wachovia is a bank anymore. I don't. That was a great transition there for the camera, but I really don't think it's a bank anymore. It would merge into a few other bigger banks, as the American way is.
What a camera angle though. That was cool. I'll give it props. That was good. I liked that. I enjoyed it. I was very confused to begin with for the first like 10 seconds of that, where we were looking at the back of a crafter, but it was worth it in the end. It was worth it in the end. I'll say that.
It certainly was. Oh,
Dylan, I now want to play a game. I don't know if Dustin has a way of keeping track of this or not. We'll find out. I guess he'll just tell me to stop talking. Yeah, let's play a game. How many laps under green are we gonna get in this race?
Well, there was a race on Wednesday in the PRL Grand National and PRL Truck Series, both 2 races, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. And those races go strictly by time, no laps. And in terms of where we ended up, it was, I think, almost half the laps were run under caution, if not a little bit more. It was interesting, to say the least. This one is maybe faring a tiny bit better, but not as much as we wanted to see from this race, as everyone bunches back up together. We're going racing again next time by. You know, we gave them 2 cautions, and then we put the clock back on.
Yeah, it took them a couple of laps, but the second that lap counter came back up, I think every driver instinctively knew that at some point they were going to wreck again. I think we can blame it entirely on Dustin.
Absolutely. Acosta, Dinkel, the first 2 cars on the inside. Harvey, Luke Christian, the first 2 on the outside. Green flag back out. A little bit of a wiggle under traction, I should say, for the 67. The 9 gets the inside and will clear. Are we surprised to see the top 2 runners in this race? The winner, if they're in the playoffs, moves on automatically to the championship 4. But also, as important, Acosta, Dinkel, racing for the status of Season 4 champion. Acosta has the advantage over Dinkel. The more laps he leads, the more likely the bonus point situation will be for him as the 77 locks up. Gets a little bit into the 67. There's a lean. They're all good, though, as the driver of the number 11 machine in the NASCAR Cup Series would say. That's just short track racing. Oh, that's a big look by the 9.
Oh, bringing out some very questionable noises from our producer in our ears. But what I will say is Acosta and Dingle, obviously, they're at the front. No surprises there. Harvey, Daniels, Acosta, Christian is exactly the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th in the playoffs.
Oh, the 5 and the 9 with a big issue in front. The 77 looks to take advantage of it. He does. Daniels goes to the lead. What happened there? That's a huge mistake. And I think it was all on the 5. Just under traction. Exactly what we saw. Oh, they're big wreck. Was it Daniels? Caution is out. It wasn't Daniels who wrecked, but it was another red and black machine. Holy cow. Big playoff implications. Jose Acosta And here's what happened with the 9 and the 5. The 5
Ooh.
totally on Abner Acosta and looks exactly like what we saw from Colton Easterday. 5 or so laps into a run and just loses it on his own. That's a big bit of contact for Acosta. Trent Dinkel was not even touching his rear, which, phrasing, but nonetheless, he didn't. There was no contact there. So Dinkel was an innocent bystander. Here's what happened to bring out the yellow flag as well. Same thing!
Same thing.
Yikes.
Oh, wow. Tiniest bit of contact, and then 5 overcorrections, just making the car worse and worse and more out of shape. And then just too big of a send, I guess, put off into the braking zone. Didn't really have, like, a bit disorientated maybe. Way too onto the braking zone. Got into the car in front, turned them around, and then just a massive cluster of cars making their way through there. And that was not going to end very well. But yeah, I just had to stop talking. Is what happened. I started talking about the playoffs, and all of this happened. So
yeah,
I won't bring up the playoffs again today.
Everything broke loose for everybody. Abner Acosta had just set the fastest lap before getting loosed, or was it Jose or Abner who set the fastest lap? It was Abner. So, I mean, those tires were probably hot, and you know, just again under traction, getting a little bit loose, and Dinkel involved in 2 incidents that he had nothing to do with. You see those track conditions? It's not, you know, the sun's definitely out now, so it's heated up, but that should not. The track temperature is what really matters for how these cars handle, and nothing that really made nothing that makes a huge deal, a big difference in what we saw from the beginning of this race in terms of how these cars handle. Just wild things happening. So let's recap real quick. Jose Acosta, big impact from Maverick Davis. Jose Acosta got loose coming off the corner and got into Trent Dinkel, and then just kind of couldn't get slowed down in time to go into 3, kind of hit Luke Christian. Christian was okay, though. Barely any damage there. And Acosta would have been okay if it wasn't for Davis coming through, and pretty late got right into the 42 machine. Davis out of this race, has left the session. Abner Acosta with some major damage to his car, but he stays out. We'll see what kind of speed he has. He'll be restarting from 8th. Joshua Daniels takes the lead of the race just after the Dinkel-Acosta incident. So, Daniels, he wins this race. He moves into the championship 4 automatically. About to come back to the green flag. We're in the restart zone. We're back underway, and a good jump from Daniels. Harvey alongside Dinkel heading into 1. Harvey almost hits Dinkel on the right side. All of a sudden, tempers have been raised.
And now it's Daniels that's going to make his way out into the lead of this race. Dinkel and Harvey still side by side. Maybe a bit of door-to-door contact, but they make their way into single file. Now it's back to 8th and 9th. Is it that they're finally getting side by side, still through turns 1 and 2. Couple cars going way up high, but keeping out of the fence for the first time by.
Acosta was stuck up high on the outside. I think he's got some issues with that car. And if that is the case, he's already kind of used the drop week through this one. I believe it's round 5. He only earned 24 points in that one. So this could be a huge, huge detriment to his championship hopes. Trent Dinkel last week had a rough go of it. Only got 17 points. Almost wrecked coming off the corner. Big save there. Goodness me. Just wild stuff. Dinkel sets the fastest lap. That was Callahan in the 76 who almost lost it. And all of a sudden here, Dane, things have become mathematical.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to start thinking about, especially the drivers in the playoffs, right? Because you were talking about Jose Acosta, 16 points back from the cut line. That's huge. That genuinely could have serious implications for making it to that top 4, to the championship 4 that will head their way to Chicagoland. So,
got battle for the lead. Trent Dinkel takes that spot. Joshua Daniels got very loose on the hood of Pat Harvey, who is now, and still I should say, running in third. Dinkel looking to run away with it. He has started from the back in this race and has made up 19 positions from 20th to 1st, but there is still 49 minutes, now less than that, in this race, and a lot of things can change between the checkered flag when we finally get there and what it currently is now in this one. 18 cars still remaining in this race, 16 cars on the lead lap, and I'll tell you what, it feels like if we had double the field, we would just have wrecks going on all over the place with how these drivers have kind of fared in door-to-door contact tonight.
Yeah, it seems like every time we have drivers going side by side, something dodgy happens, and hopefully they'll be able to keep themselves going in a straight line. And we see some overtakes happen. Obviously, we don't want them to go single file the whole race, but when they do get side by side next, hopefully we can see them emerge single file and keep driving on the distance. Dinkel leading now and really starting to pull away. Obviously set the fastest lap a few laps ago, and now is making steady progress out away from Daniels and Harvey behind.
Yeah, I think once you get that clean track in front of you without much traffic in this race to worry about, that is a recipe for success. And if we stay green the rest of the way, then I mean, he doesn't have to probably come in for tires or fuel. I mean, you can make it to the end of this race with what you got on, as long as you came down within the last 40 or so laps for fuel, which I'm pretty sure everyone has, as we see the Prestige Worldwide number 3 of Bisol Jr. making some moves, having himself a solid race. 2 positions dropped from the start of it, but still running on the cusp of getting into the top 5. The only thing that separates him from that is Chris Hudson, who's made up 2 spots right now. Some insight on how these cars are set up to run. These next-gen cars have 5 gears. Sequential shifting is a thing now in the Cup Series cars. So usually at Martinsville, at least in the old car, you would see potentially some shifting in the 3rd, but usually everyone would stay in 4th gear. But for such a short track, with how this setup is, with 5 gears sequential, and just how these next-gen cars are set up, most of these setups here are running in 3rd, shifting into 4th briefly before getting into corner entry, which is some pretty interesting insight, actually, as Daniels and Harvey continue fighting here, Dane. Dane, you were complaining about units that you understand, and I'll try and help you out with that. Fahrenheit, Celsius, you know. You know how long this track is?
I actually, I do, but no. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I do know what the number is. I've just lost it. It's gone. Isn't it like 7/8 of a mile or a kilometer?
On 7/8 of a kilometer or a miles? What is your final answer?
Kilometer.
I don't know. Now I got to figure that out myself. It's you know, yeah. Let's not have some wrecking here. Harvey,
I was correct.
Trying to move. Yeah, I saw you were correct. I was about to say that. 0.853 kilometers is this track. So yeah, it's 7/8 of a kilometer, half a mile, just over it. We like to refer to it as half a mile here with Freedom units. Mr. Hedge getting some extra time right there as we watch on board at Harvey. Joshua Daniels, Harvey, Christian running 2, 3, 4 in this race. Trent Dinkel running away with it right now.
As they make their way through, and yeah, it's 0.847 kilometers. So I was 3 meters off, and that's what, 9-ish feet.
Are you trying to take a half mile? It's 0.53 miles. I'm just saying.
I was 9 feet away. So
All right.
however many miles that is, I don't know. The numbers are all strange. I mean, I asked for units we can understand because it was 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and I mean, I know that that means 76% hot, but like, it doesn't mean anything to me in racing terms. Like, it could be anything.
Oh, goodness. All right. Pat Harvey with the goggles on top. And I guess it's still a Halloween, centric period with it being on Tuesday. We're watching on board with him as he is embroiled in a fight to move into second place. Back to it. Joshua Daniels had the lead momentarily. Remember, you do get bonus points for leading just even one lap in this race. And Daniels did lead a lap. And considering we were talking about Daniels being 10 points out of the playoff picture. After leading that lap, you can say officially he's 1 point closer to getting into a championship 4 spot. Pat Harvey is 1 point out of this battle, 1 point back of the cut line. So definitely big, actually, to be, getting a bonus point with how few cars are in here and how few positions there are to kind of lose or gain.
Yeah, and you see the bonus points. They're definitely going to make a huge difference. I mean, you look at the round of 8. They haven't scored points in the round of 8, but yet Dinkel's already at 108. That's a significant advantage heading into these 3 races, especially that it is only 3 races. That gives you a huge shout, and obviously even by 2.3 seconds now as well, looking fantastic, has been looking so 19 places gained so far in the race. Abner Acosta, the only person that I've seen that's looking quicker, arguably, and down an 8th after that mistake, so Dinkel's looking good to get a win and grab himself a spot into Chicago land straight away.
Would be an easy next 2 weeks, wouldn't really even have to be there, but the intrigue of the PRL seasons are that it's not just about the playoffs, it's also about the Season 4 championship as a whole. So if you were only competing for the playoffs and you won the first race in a round, then you could technically just take off the next 2 weeks, or just start in park, whatever you'd like to do. But that championship makes it so you want to win that competition as well. So it's cool that we get multiple ways of kind of seeing this whole thing play out and shake up the way that it can shake up as we watch Federico Winterhalter try and keep Jose Acosta at bay, who needs a good race, needs a good showing here, but obviously he's had his own issues in this race.
Yeah, I mean, you say that it can be a very different way for the drivers to think about it, whether they're going for the points for the Season 4 championship, where they got to look at those points. They got to look completely separate points and format for the championship, for the playoffs as well. If they're in both, do they try and focus on the playoffs, because you can have completely different strategies for that. As here we see, that's Jose Acosta looking for a move, looking towards the inside, thinks about it, shows the nose, gets alongside, and they're going to come off the corner side by side.
Yeah, they're definitely getting a little bit squirrely, and as this run goes on, I think more drivers will become impatient with each other. The tires start to go off, and everyone just kind of is running bad, running poorly. So the more that happens, I think the more you're going to see cars just run into each other. Can you see something?
Costa in the wall.
Ooh. Yeah.
Jose Acosta.
Jose Acosta. Oh, yeah.
Jose Acosta tapped the wall on the exit there.
He just hit it again down the front stretch, actually. I was looking at Abner Acosta, who just made the move on James O'Brien in the 7th. So the Acosta brothers are both having very interesting races. You see that splitter damage right there to the 42 of Jose Acosta, who coming into this race is 16 points out of the championship 4 cut line. No one really making incredible progress on that cut line in this race. I mean, it's just so hard to do that with how few drivers are in here. Nonetheless, if you win a race, you're automatically in. Sometimes that's all the goal, right?
And you get maximum points for yourself from the Season 4 championship. So you win. Kill two birds with one stone. Here's the thing, is we were watching Trent Dinkle for a lap there, and I was trying to find Joshua Daniels, and I couldn't. He's quite far back. That's quite a substantial lead. We let's be real, we're going to go yellow again before the end of this race, so at the end of the day, doesn't matter too much, probably not. But Daniels is not looking like catching Dinkle anytime soon. Dinkle's looking very good for a winner.
Yeah, Dinkle, I mean, he's pretty much good at this point when it comes to playoffs, but Dinkle has to make up some ground on Abner Acosta. In this race right now, it's presenting an amazing opportunity for him to do just that, with Abner now struggling a tiny bit, mired back in 7th place after he got loose and went into Dinkle while having the lead. And Abner is actually watching two cars go at it very fiercely and forcefully right now, the 43 and the 3. Fighting a big fight for a top 5 position. You also see the 24 of Jose Medina and Tristan Callahan right next to each other on the lead lap. But at the tail end of the lead lap, we see Trent Dinkle, or Abner Acosta right now, still making that move in the 43 as our Capanow is blinking in and out. Just internet issues, you know?
I've seen that a couple times so far where a driver's, a driver, I didn't know who it was, has been hopping in and out the session. So Papanov apparently is the culprit, and that can be so distracting to drive with, right? Like you're driving and you don't know where the car in front of you is. They can disappear. You think, okay, I can go into the corner. They may end up side by side. They may be spun sideways in front of me when I reach the corner. You never know, and it can be very off-putting.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, with this battling that we're seeing in this race, it's kind of died down somewhat. You know, you expect that when you only have around 18 drivers on track at the moment. You expect that at any track. Martinsville, usually you see a little bit more, you know, catastrophes happening as Tom Macy goes into pit road. Only a bit of pit action right now. No one needs to go into pit road before this race ends, I don't believe, but you still might if you feel like those tires have fallen off a cliff. You know, this tire model might be a little bit more forgiving, or it might make you pay for tire abuse at specific tracks over others. So we'll see if that becomes the case as we get through this. Do we stay green the whole way?
No.
That was a quick no.
That's my answer.
All right, that's fair. I appreciate your succinct answer right there.
Yeah, just not a chance at all.
We have stayed green for, at this point, almost 50 laps of green flag racing, which is a nice change of pace with races at Martinsville, as this battle for 10th is heating up with Winterhalter and Jose Acosta. 35 minutes and some change left in this race as Winterhalter got a little bit loose as we watch in behind Jose Acosta trying to work the bumper, and we're back to the lap counters. We're past the halfway point. If we get through this, you know, this race and stay green with 93 laps to go, we will make it with probably 5 minutes to spare. I like that.
It'll be close.
2 cautions to go. 2 cautions.
That's a bit too much of an if for me, though. I don't see it happening.
Okay, understood. I don't like your negativity, but I'll allow it.
It's called reality, Dylan.
What is that?
We're getting another caution. That's reality. All right. The reality is the battle for 10th place is heating up. As Jose Acosta is right on the back. We saw all sorts of loose from both drivers, pushing up the track a little bit, getting very close to the rear bumper, much closer than I myself would be comfortable with if I was in the 52 car. Jose looking left, right, and center, trying to find a way past. There's a chance.
Yeah, this is a really good battle with These two fighting as hard as they have. Acosta had an opportunity to go down the inside there, but held off for the time being. He's probably the one who's struggling most in this one. Very few drivers are racing here tonight without a little bit of contact. Big wiggle from Windsor-Halder, and Acosta got into his rear bumper and then gets to his left rear. Is Windsor-Halder going around? He saves it, but that was naughty.
He's just about held on to that one. Very impressive save, that's for sure. The 52 getting a bit of a tap to the rear, and very nearly round he went, but managed to hold on to it. Not entirely sure how, I'm going to be honest. And, well, Jose Acosta's going to grab that 10th spot and try and disappear and hope that the 52 doesn't catch back up. Otherwise, it's Martinsville. We all know what that means.
Angry is what that means.
Yes. I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to make any enemies at this track, especially not enemies that didn't end out of the race. You know, you don't want to anger someone and only have them 2 seconds back. That's not an ideal situation.
Yeah, but it's more fun. For us.
Oh, for us, for sure.
For us. Very true. Let's go with a bit of a roundup of some of these nights, these days that the drivers are having cautions out. Windsor-Halder, or Tristan Callahan, I should say, and Jose Medina. Big mess on the front straight. And we reset. Caution has come out.
Love to see what happened here, because there was significant damage and there were body parts, car body parts, I should say, on the front stretch. So we'll take a look and see what happened there. It didn't sound quite. It didn't sound quite right. You know, it's iRacing, but you know, I'm not liking the sounds of.
I'm not liking
watching this replay.
So, oh boy, Callahan loses it, and then a huge hit from Medina, who, if you recall, Callahan was the one who didn't hold the brakes earlier in this race and got into Medina, giving him some major damage under caution. And this is the second time that a Callahan mistake has cost Medina some race speed, as now we've got caution and everyone on the lead lap coming down pit road, and we expect everybody a lap down to do the same, except maybe cars who want to take a wave around, but no one stayed out.
Papana stayed out again.
Has
Papana just come back in?
Yeah.
Again. Very strange.
Weird. Very strange indeed. But nonetheless, just some weirdness happening in this one. Dinkle, Daniels, Harvey, Christian, Bissell Jr., your 5 coming out of the pits. No surprise there. But it's a good chance to reset, as Jose Medina has gotten a meatball down into pit road, meaning that his damage is so great that he has to come down pit road and get it fixed, required repairs, before he's allowed to get back out on track. The 42 of Jose Acosta just got trapped a lap down. That's a huge mistake from Jose Acosta, who, I don't know, he stayed in pit road for an extended period of time to try and get some damage repaired. 10 seconds of damage is enough at Martinsville to send you a lap down, and he wasn't paying attention to where that pace car was. So now he's got to wait for everyone to go by. 1 lap down, Jose Acosta, who, again, will be in that free pass range if caution comes out very quickly. But this is taking a day that had some promise starting 6th, and it's made it really bad. And
Dinkle now has some drivers in front who are going to skedaddle, I would imagine, as they make their way over the start of finish. And looking back, most of the drivers in this top section have been more or less, they are where they are. They've been there pretty much the entire time. And then you see Dinkle with plus 19, and you're like, well, that's just a ridiculous drive, especially at a place like Martinsville.
Yes, and if you get trapped at this point in the back, it's going to be really hard to make up some positions with 80 to go here. I think we're going to be, if we go green the rest of the way, it will end under race conditions with 225 laps getting in, but I still don't see it. We've got maybe, I mean, we have no more cautions left to give, I think, to get this race into full distance with just 29 minutes and change remaining in this one. But that definitely was a topsy-turvy caution. Callahan, and I believe that was Tama Macy taking the wave around, get a lap back. We'll go green next time by. Dane, what's your thoughts?
Well, there's been a lot of cautions, but we did see some good green flag running there for a portion. Under the 30 minutes left in the race, we've done 2/3 of our time. Are we gonna make it on laps? I don't know what the exact math is. I think it's cutting it fine at this point as we reach the restart zone.
Green flag back in the air. Trent Dinkel leads the way. Daniels on the outside, Harvey on the inside, Christian row 2 outside. This is the same kind of thing we've seen so much of in this race, but Joshua Daniels with those fresh tires trying to take the battle to Dinkel very quickly. Can't do it. Dinkel clears him, but maybe a switchback and a look down the inside in turn 1. Daniels can't do it. Now, is the strategy go aggressive early on and try to keep Dinkel behind? Because yes, this is a good result for Daniels, but I mean, look at Harvey and Christian. They're right behind him and they need points just as much as Daniels does. A win is immeasurable compared to just getting points.
Yep, full of the drivers in the playoffs. You look a little bit further back as well, and you look at some of the drivers who aren't too far away. They're all below the cut line, and you think, you get that win, that saves your playoff chances, that saves your hopes into the final round.
Big moments, big closing laps in this race. Is it going to be another Dinkel runaway, or are there twists that we have not seen that are still to come? I feel like Dinkel, though, having this advantage right now, it's a hard thing to see coming back down unless any of these drivers are able to take major advantage of these fresh tires with just 26 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in this one.
Obviously, there's smoke in the background. I think it was just a bit of wheel spin. I don't think anyone's gone to the wall.
Mark Hilliard and Chris Hudson taking some big damage. Hudson, he cannot afford that kind of damage, and he was the one that got loose, that ended up losing and costing him some spots. That's big for playoff implications here. As Dinkel still leads the way. Some contact with the wall pad, Harvey. You've seen a lot of drivers, especially as that last run went a little bit long, get pretty tight on corner exit as we grab a replay of what happened to Chris Hudson right here. Got loose and got hit in the left rear, but I'll tell you what, that's a pretty smooth save.
Yeah, I mean, held onto it well. Has some damage apparently, so that's unfortunate. And we'll have to wait for the next pit cycle to see if you can get some of that repaired, but by then it's going to be very close to the end of the race, you'd imagine. And don't expect drivers to come down to the pits if there's any caution anytime soon. But yeah, coming towards 25 minutes to go, and we are about 2.5 minutes away from those lap counter that we had up on the screen briefly before the last caution being completely irrelevant, right? We're just about going to make it to the end of this race on distance. 68 to go. We're just about going to make those 68 laps work. However, if we get a caution, then, we're going to have some problems, right? You're not going to get to the end of it. They're going to run out of time, and then we go to the time of full time. So we'll keep the lap counter up for now, and if we do get another yellow, then Dustin can flick that button one more time for the last time and just leave it up on the time.
I'm sure he's having fun switching back and forth.
Give him something to do.
it's a lot of fun, as the 52 and the 88 are, or I should say the 52, as well as not just the 88, but 42 and everyone else involved are having fun battling as Jose Acosta in that 42 makes the move down the inside of Windsor Halder. Jose Acosta not for position, remember. He is still 1 lap down. That would be per position, and I guess on race pace, he would be up into 11th place right now, but because he's trapped a lap down, he needs another caution, and he's 14 laps down at this current moment. Currently, we've got some drivers who are still out on the racetrack, but a number of laps down in this race. Everyone from 18th on up are still on track or in pit road, getting damage repaired in some way. Nonetheless, the actual on-track cars, probably 17, with 13 being on the lead lap. That's not going to stay 13 for a long time, though. It's going to be 12 very quickly once Dinkel catches up to Tristan Callahan, who is just a half a straightaway in front at this point with 63 laps to go.
I'll have another look at the race leader, who has gained 19 spots. We've seen that on the tower a couple times now, but just keeps on extending that advantage out in front and shows absolutely zero signs of slowing up. They're side by side. Acosta trying to get past Bissell Jr.
And of course, Bissell Jr. having one of the best days of a non-playoff driver at this current point, side by side. This is for P5. Abner Acosta takes advantage of another wiggle from Bissell Jr. and moves into 5th place. Abner still trying to claw back from his mistake earlier in this race. I don't think he's got a chance of winning this one unless we get another caution or Dinkel's fall off is immense. But 2nd is still within grasp, and if that's the case, Dinkel would say, what do I have to do to get back at him in this hunt for the Season 4 championship?
He's got to get a bit of a move on. 59 laps to go now at this point. It would be 58 as they come across the line. But you've got Bissell Jr., you say he's doing the best out of all the non-playoff drivers. Only 18 points separated himself and Pat Harvey after the last round. 18 points is what the difference was. Bissell Jr. in 9th place in the round of 12, unfortunately. Never got to keep that playoff sticker as we entered Martinsville, but Homestead just not good enough of a performance out there, and has to settle for 9th place in that playoff round of 12. So looking now to try and make good on that, because the 6th place is not too bad at all.
So here's something else to keep in mind. Tristan Callahan has gone a lap down, meaning that he currently is in the lucky dog spot. Jose Acosta is half the track back from Tristan Callahan at this point, who is way up the racetrack out of 4, crossing the stripe right there. Joshua Daniels just got by him. That's big, because Jose Acosta now would be trapped a lap down unless everyone on the lead lap came into the pits and Acosta stayed out and got the wave around, as Harvey and Daniels continue to fight and race almost identical kinds of lap times. Callahan gets loose once again. And did he make contact with the 5 of Acosta and the 3 of Bissell Jr.? Yes, he did. Callahan has gotten involved as we see the replay. This is the 3rd time he's made a mistake that has cost some damage on other drivers' parts.
Both of them as well got into the side of Acosta, and then Bissell Jr. running into the back of him, nowhere really to go. And yeah, all 3 of those drivers going to have some damage after that, you would expect, and that's not going to help out any of them, especially not Callahan, who's now got, is that Jose Acosta looking to try and pass him for that lucky dog spot? I think it is.
There we go. Jose Acosta moves into free pass territory, and I think it was a matter of time because Callahan is struggling. It's not Callahan's night at all. He's having a rough go of it, gets into the wall again. And Chris Hudson has to swerve to avoid him, but, you know, it's how Martinsville works sometimes.
Yeah, just looking at that car is not driving straight. I don't think. It's not having a good time with things, and can't be the easiest thing to try and control that, and also control where everybody else is around you as well, because, like, you know, the last thing you want to happen is have something that just happened, right? Make contact with the cars passing you, but just trying to keep track of where everybody is tricky around this place.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think partially though, what's important to at least to say, it's hard and we're sympathetic, but it's also on you to not run into other drivers. And another bit of information, insight, look at the kind of rim he's using. It's a Formula style rim on a track like Martinsville. That's unbelievably difficult. And I wonder if that's the only rim he's got. That's a great look at his background there. What VR headset is he using? Is that a Rift S? What is that?
That's not a Rift S.
It's a little too shiny to be a Rift S.
Yeah.
It very much, the reason I say a Rift S is because of that headband he's got on there. It looks the exact same as a Rift S. We're all very confused in our production of what exactly he is wearing. But then again, we do have drivers wearing goggles on their forehead in this one, so who knows what's going on. It's spooky season here. Abner Costa watching Luke Christian. And I don't think he's going to be watching Luke Christian race at the pace he's racing at in front of him for much longer. Takes a peek on the outside. He's going to try and swing back down low. We got a run going down the inside. Now on the front straight. Did not get a good run there, though.
Yeah, not a good run at all. We'll take a look at Abner Acosta in the number 5. Looking at, I believe it's Luke Christian in front. It is Luke Christian in front as they make their way through 3 and 4 now. They'll cross the stripe with 43 to go. And Acosta just trying to make up some points here. Obviously sitting second on playoff point at the moment. Looking to try and make his way up there, but also trying to soften the blow that this race is looking to be on the season 4 points as well, because leading that championship at the moment, but yeah, with 5th place at the moment. Dinkle up in front, was in second in the championship standings. That could all be looking to change as well, so especially after Acosta not having the best round here, but a move on Christian could get a bit of consolation.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, nonetheless, it's about making sure you don't lose as many points as you could potentially lose in this one for the battle for the Season 4 championship, as Christian is trying to make that car as wide as possible, doing a good job right now. But he does get a little bit loose. That face is focused. The 5 underneath him, though, that was a late little lunge, a look down the inside, and I think it's going to work for Acosta in a couple corners or so. Christian still fighting on that outside. Acosta swings way up. That, again, was just a little too much right there. I would be pretty upset if I'm Luke Christian. And I'll be honest, pushing a car into a corner at the short track, it's okay. Leaning on each other, it's okay. Swinging back up like that and just lunging it for no regard to the car on the outside, that's not okay. But he got away with it. If I'm Christian, I got a chance to get back at Acosta, I'm pushing him into another corner, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, not like the greatest looking move of all time, but it did work. You got to give him that. He's got through, and I think that's all Abner was really caring about in the moment. We'll see. You know, there's a protest system in place. Well, maybe might have a bit of a complaint to make there. Might be justified, but looking to try and pull away now, and it would be in his best interest, I think, in multiple ways. You want to catch up to Harvey, but you want to get a gap to Christian, because, you know, I would not want to hang around after doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to either. But nonetheless, this race does have the potential to stay green to the end now. If a caution did come out, though, what would you do pit strategy-wise? Because it is hard to pass here in Martinsville, but fresh tires could be a huge help in the race to the end here. You know, it's just 30 laps or so of green flag tires. That might be not as, you know, big of a deal as maybe others. For example, Trent Dinkel's pace last lap was a 19.810. Since going with these fresh tires, that's a drop off of about 0.6.
0.6. You kind of need to be quite a bit further than that, I think, at this point in the race. I don't think that dropping down to grab some fresh tires is going to be too beneficial to the drivers. I think possibly, I haven't actually kept track of this, but maybe fuel, might not be looking the greatest. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But 33 to go, 32 across the stripe. Daniel's starting actually to build a bit of a gap between himself and Harvey, and Harvey dropping back into the clutches of Abner Acosta, who's put 1.5 seconds behind and now has 0.6 to the car in front, 67. And if, you know, we've seen a couple times now, Abner makes some moves that were maybe not too kind to the driver on the receiving end. Harvey might be slightly worried at this point.
Just a tad. Just a tad. And, you know, I feel like all three of these drivers, you know, three of them in the top 5, Christian, Harvey, and Daniels, are thinking the same thing. Why, you know, all of this almost doesn't matter at the end. Yeah, it's about trying to put your way in for some of these guys, but if with all these drivers running so close and having such great races themselves, it almost, I mean, it's going to be that same difference going into the next round when it comes to those cut lines. And Dinkel is, I don't think anyone was unsure of the fact that he'd probably make his way easily into that championship 4, and I'd say that he might be the marginal favorite over Abner Acosta. You know, with going to that 1.5 mile Chicagoland, it'll change the racing quite a bit. But still, it's I don't know. It almost feels like status quo is kept after this one. By the way, some important information on the debacle of the Tristan Callahan VR device. We found his stream of the race, and we have no more information.
We still don't know.
We don't know what headset he's using, and that's a shame.
We have information for you about his headset. We still do not know what that headset is.
We put a bounty on trying to figure it out.
Someone please tell us. We've got live chat. You can talk to us in the Discord server, in the YouTube live chat. Speak to us. I might bite, but
okay,
we'll see, right? If the information is good, I will be happy. Somebody please let us know. Or even in the future, can somebody let us know what that headset is? Maybe he watches the broadcast back and he sees this.
He will not fight if he gets the info he needs.
Yes, exactly. Dustin has spoken and is fully correct. We want to know what the headset is, and your prize is absolutely nout.
Unbelievable. That is our producer, Dustin Hollis's way of communicating with the crowd. He could really make us look bad with a simple few strokes of the keyboard. 23 laps to go in this race, and Abner Acosta trying to make a move on Harvey. Ooh. Little loose, both of them. Acosta, late look down the inside. Harvey kind of kept the door open, and he got pushed out of the way. I mean, hey, you leave the door open with the laps winding down like that, I guess you kind of have to expect some aggression to come from behind. Still not clear, though.
Yeah. Someone's really going to be wanting to look at this and hopefully get away from it, as Joshua Daniels looking at this all unfolding in his rear view. They're still side by side. They've been side by side for a couple of laps now. Back down the inside. Is the 5 looking
that.
to get a good exit, cuts across, boom, job done, and on to Daniels.
Yeah, that was job done right there for Abner Acosta. If he can move into second, I think that's a good day's work. He would have liked to win, but second would be a massive improvement based on what happened at the midway point of this race here at Martinsville Speedway. Been a fun night coming at you with just around 9 minutes remaining in race time, but in terms of lap time, we've got 19 laps remaining, which only should take around 6 or so minutes. We'd be right on that verge of a caution bringing us to a timed race after that.
Well, we've got Matt Schaefer in the YouTube chat who wanted us to take a look. Wanted to take a look at the headset. Maybe he's got an answer for us. There it is. You can see it on the screen. That is Tristan Callahan. That is the VR headset we want to know the identity of. We want to know what it is. And I patiently await your answer.
Well, all we've got to go off it is that it's a weird Halo band that looks like
that one.
S, but it's got a shiny front like a Valve Index. So maybe we're both right. We're all right on that. The curious case of now the 33 and the 3 trying to give us the answer to the question, what happens if you go 3 for Dale in Martinsville Speedway. 7.5 minutes to go in this race. We got time to finish it here. What a fun little battle.
Had a caution.
Did say the word you're not supposed to say unless you're trying to reverse jinx it. So, nonetheless, it's a good battle happening just outside the top 5. Luke Christian in the 21 machine currently holds that spot in 5th, but James O'Brien, Robert Beasall Jr., 6th and 7th. They're fighting hard. Joshua Daniels now holding up Abner Acosta for 2nd place. Trent Dinkle 5 seconds ahead of the pack. And Tristan Callahan again in front up into the wall. Could he get involved in this battle maybe in an unfortunate way? Gets out of the way and stays out of the wall. So Daniels and Acosta goes by. Caution. Caution is out. Robert Beasall Jr. was fighting for a top 5 spot. Has been having a great day, but lost it all himself coming out of turn 4. And oh baby, we've got a fun finish to this one coming up.
That we do, and you can see the tire marks there. He's got him bounced off the wall as well. We'll see now going round, bang into the restart zone, and yeah, gets out of the way again. Does a good job. That's how you get out of the way of the racing line. Yeah, not like what we saw a little bit earlier.
Oh boy. Well. Now we've got an interesting finish to this race coming up. So the race is on Wednesday, last Wednesday at Martinsville, in the PRL Grand National and PRL Truck Series races. As I think Dustin, and Dustin and Nick, you both know what happened in those races. Our producer in race control, where we had cautions that were timed so oddly that we went green for a 1-lap dash in both races. And because of the timing with iRacing, the green came out after the time had run out, but we still had that 1-lap dash. So it was definitely a very odd ending to both races that could only happen with cautions around the 10-second periods. But now let's talk pit strategy right here. And everyone in the top 8 has stayed out, but 3 drivers who are on the lead lap, but at the back of it, Mike Witt, Eric Papanow, Federico Winterholder, have come down pit lane. And with tires that have been on since lap 147, it's now lap 216, they're going to have a ton of speed, and it could potentially make this race finish a little bit unique with what's going to happen with their speed. I do think it's going to be hard to make up that many positions at Martinsville with as few laps as there are remaining, but stranger things have happened. And, I mean, compared to 70-lap-old tires, that is a massive difference.
It's a huge difference, and I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. Somebody's been looking very quick up there the last few laps. Abner Acosta is on the inside of the second lane for this restart. Daniel's on the outside. We've seen a lot of restarts today. That driver in second place isn't going anywhere quickly, right? It's just not happening.
Right,
So we're basically going to have Dinkel versus Acosta for a race victory in the first race in the round of 8 in the playoffs, and obviously first and second Season 4 championship, with very few laps to decide it.
This is going to be a lot of fun, this ending here. Nick Hunter, race control, saying let's try and finish this out with green flag conditions. We'll go back to green flag racing with around 3 minutes, 10 seconds remaining on the clock. If we get another caution, I think that's almost certainly race over at this point. Let's try and finish it with 7 laps remaining in this one as well. Dinkel, restart zone, takes the green. Joshua Daniels jumps down to the inside. Might have been close to a restart violation, but keeps it moving in second place over Abner Acosta. Old tires for the ball. They're reckoning behind, but they saved it. No caution has come out. Some lockups happening in front. Abner Acosta moving down the inside of Joshua Daniels. Had some inside position. Blocking going on down for a top 5 spot. Everyone trying to desperately find what they can, but still we go. Trent Dinkel in the lead, but Abner Acosta now in second. More cars spinning, and we keep it green. Jose Medina, major damage, not his night. Big block from Abner Acosta, but he slides up the racetrack. Joshua Daniels wants to get moving. He wants to make up some positions and get back in a second, but Dade, Dinkel's gone.
Dinkel is gone, and Acosta made a huge mistake coming out of 4 on the last time by, and that's what you said, a huge block. It was a very necessary one. Oh, it's a big send in the background. Who was that? It was Jose Acosta going way deep on the brakes and somehow making it work.
Winterholder, one of the drivers who came down for tires, is having a horrible go at it. Of course, involved in one of those earlier little wiggles. Mike Witt running 8th after starting with around 11th or 12th on those fresh tires. We'll see if he's able to keep up and make up some positions. We're coming to lap 224, 2 laps to go as we cross the stripe, a minute 27 to go. Next flag, if of course not white, will end the race here. Acosta is just on full-on defense mode to Joshua Daniels. Dinkel will round turns 3 and 4. Acosta in tow. He will take the white flag here. 1 lap remaining in this race at Martinsville Speedway. We'll make it on the lap scheduled distance. Dinkel down the backstretch. No one in sight to even challenge him. It looked like it was all Abner, but instead it's all Trent, and it's all good. He's into the championship for Acosta second, Daniels third, Harvey fourth. Christian rounds out the top 5, but Dinkel, what a performance.
What a performance indeed. 19 positions up from where he began and looked dominant once he got to the front. Gets himself that victory, gets himself some well-earned points in the Season 4 Championship, and most importantly, books himself a spot in the Championship 4 in Chicagoland in 3 weeks' time.
And Trent Dinkel will try and burn it down a little bit lackadaisical, I'd say, on that. And he just runs into the wall. Yeah, why not? Who cares? He won this race. He doesn't need that car anymore. Dinkel, Acosta, Daniels. It's becoming a very likely thing to see at the end of a race where Dinkel and Acosta are 1-2 in whatever order we decide to see him in. Dinkel, 24 Sunday wins in Cup Series PRL competition. Acosta, just 1 back of him. Here's the final results with Dinkel, Acosta, Daniels, your podium. Harvey and Christian round out the top 5. Park Hilliard, a good run for him, finishes in 6th with James O'Brien in 7th. Mike Witt finishes 8th with Chris Hudson in 9th and Eric Papanow. Rounding out the top 10, Esau Jr. and Jose Acosta 1 lap down. Windsor Halder will be 2 laps down with Tristan Callahan 3 laps down. Rodrigo Loga in 15th, and then everybody else. It's just a little sadder when you talk about the double-digit lap downs. Chris Vincent ran around the whole time and picked up some spots to finish 16th with Jose Medina, Tom Macy, Maverick Davis, Jay McDonald rounding out the top 20. Colton Easterday and Richard Pruitt, your 22 drivers entered into tonight's race. Dinkle sets the fastest lap, 19.234 on lap 88. That is another bonus point for him in the Season 4 championship. But it does not matter when we talk about the playoffs because, let's say it again, Trent's in. Trent is in the championship round without having to do much except, win this race at Martinsville. So we are still waiting for the winner and second place. In the meantime, we've got Joshua Daniels, who finished 3rd on the podium, and we're live with him. Josh, it seemed like a very difficult race of attrition, but you managed to stay up front for pretty much the entire race, and were a factor for a large part of it. Maybe not as many points as you'd like, though, to make up on this playoff cut line.
Yeah, it was hard. This car was hard to drive this week. It was probably good for the first 25 laps or 30 laps, but then after that, you had to get kind of creative on staying alive. But that's what it took, It just took staying alive and staying up front, staying out of trouble. I was able to miss the little wrecks that happened in front of me. Had some luck on my side, I guess.
For sure. And throughout this race, what was the tire fall off like? Because it seemed like there was a little bit of restlessness from everyone once we got to that 50-60 lap green flag run time period.
Yeah, well, the car that I had for A opens would burn the right front, more. It was be about 10 degrees hotter, and that's the way I liked it. And I got into this race and I got into practice and noticed that it was doing the opposite. It was overheating the right rear, so I had to do a lot of adjustments in the practice of this thing to get the car to where it would actually handle right. And that first run, we come in and took tires, and it showed to be a little loose, And I said, well, the next time it felt like that, I was gonna make some adjustments. But then it felt really good. To come in the next time, I got tires, and it had gotten tight just a little bit. So I left it alone. I left it right where it was, and then that last little run, it was perfect. The front and the back tires were just perfect.
Well, I know that it's definitely going to be a hard road to make it into the championship for, but at the next 2 tracks that we visit, do you feel like Phoenix or Kansas might present a better opportunity to potentially get yourself into the Chicagoland final race?
Maybe Phoenix. I've been pretty good at Phoenix. What'd you say the next one was? Kansas?
That will be the finale for the round of 8.
So Chicagoland is after that too.
Oh, well, then I completely forgot and messed
up.
up.
Oh no, no, Chicagoland is the last race, right? And then
correct, yes.
and the Kansas is the next race. That's right.
Yes.
Right.
No, you're all good, but nonetheless, mile and a halfs. They do have some different characteristics, but it will be a dogfight no matter what. Phoenix will be the next race, and then Kansas will finish the round of 8. But nonetheless, Josh, congratulations on the podium finish here. Hope to see you still competing for a potential championship 4 berth.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife and all the guys over at Love Racing and RaceSpot and PRL for putting on a good show and broadcast.
We appreciate it as well. Joshua Daniels, 3rd place here in the PRL Cup Series race at Martinsville. Let's keep it moving. How about up the order chronologically and go into 2nd place with Abner Acosta. We'll make Trent wait a little bit. He usually makes us wait, so we'll make him wait a tad. Abner Acosta finishing in 2nd tonight. It's a great battle going on for this Season 4 championship here, and it seemed like there was a little bit of a falter midway through this race, you got loose. Take us through that moment, almost a race ender for you and Trent Dinkle.
Yeah, I felt like it was happening to everybody pretty much, where you would just come off the corner and then your tires just feel like they just go away, like tire pressure issue or something. I saw it happen to Beasaw, myself, my brother. So it basically was going everywhere, but I had felt loose, thought I caught it, and then I didn't catch it. So I'm glad I didn't really damage Trent or myself too much, and we were able to keep going. But yeah, it was I was battling that all race, that loose off.
Well, nonetheless, you do get that second place finish. So it almost felt like at a certain point, it was just about making sure you kept second, made sure the points deficit for this championship was still, for Trent pretty big, because yes, he led a lot of laps and got bonus points, but kind of minimized the damages there.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, there was a point there where I went back to 9th, and I couldn't really pass anybody, and I was like, I'm in trouble. But after the other caution, I just kind of took it easy, and I guess I was able to pass most of them, long run, and get second. But so yeah, damage control was definitely really good, because at some point there, I thought I wasn't going to get a top 10, so...
Well, Abner, moving forward to Phoenix and then Kansas for the round of 8 in the playoffs, I don't think anyone's concerned that you might not make it. You can easily clinch with probably just starting the race next weekend, or next Sunday, I should say. But even then, you're setting up this car, you're taking a peek. What would it mean to potentially win not just the Season 4 championship, but the playoffs here once we get to Chicagoland?
Yeah, it would mean a lot, obviously, with the competition that we have. So, we're just going to take all these races that are coming just to kind of, while I am fairly certain I'm going to make it to the last race, but, just to get better with all these tracks that are coming up. But yeah, we definitely want to win. Definitely don't want to get second, so we're definitely going to push.
Very much understand that. Abner Acosta, always great to talk with you. Congratulations on the second place.
Right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
That was the driver of the number 5 private label team Hype Machine. Let's move over to his teammate, Trent Dinkle, who I feel like I'm getting tired of talking to Trent every single weekend, because it just seems like he's always, if he's not first, he's second. Taking the old adage from Ricky Bobby, but changing it into he's either first or second. Take us through that burnout, because that was a little bit disappointing, Trent, at the end of that race. It seemed like you just didn't know what to do, and you wanted to smash into the wall no matter what.
Just the brakes. I couldn't get it to just drive forward, just how the brakes were, but, I guess I had to beat up the front of my car just a little bit more.
And that's fair. You were involved in a lot of incidents that at no point were your fault in this one. Just kind of involved, but you survived and still had the speed. Was there ever a point where you were like, are you kidding me? Is this going to really happen again?
I mean, I hit Maverick pretty hard, but he just got super loose, and then I kind of realized it after I hit him that he was super loose every time he was coming out of the corner, so I tried to give him some room and then just made an effort to pass him. And that one, I mean, I'll probably catch the blame for it, but it's alright. The guy let me go. I think it was Tristan Callahan that let me go, and I just clipped the, curb a little bit, and it kicked the back of the car around, and yeah, I mean, I'll probably be starting in the back next week, but at least I'm locked in, I suppose, now. And then, yeah, I'm kind of surprised Abner's car kept going. I didn't really think I was gonna have too much worry, because I don't really think the body work does much at Martinsville. So, yeah. Other than that, I mean, once I got the lead, and I didn't feel like I was gonna be that fast judging off the practice times, because Pat was easily just as fast as me, same with Josh, and I kind of effortlessly just drove away, so I can't complain.
Do you feel like, if it comes down to maybe only winning the championship in Season 4 or the year-long playoffs, is there one you prefer?
I don't know, I think judging by the past few races, I'm worried that I'm probably going to struggle pretty bad at Chicagoland. And just for whatever reason, the cookie cutter tracks are kicking my butt. Because even last week in practice, I mean, I was running practice lap times that I thought were amazing, and then we get to the race and, 30 laps in, I'm half a second slower. So I still got to kind of figure out what's going on there. But, I mean, the season championship I don't really care too much about, but, because I think at this point Abner's probably pretty well got it locked up. So we'll just be fighting for the playoffs, I suppose.
Well, nonetheless, Trent, always a pleasure to talk to you, even if, sometimes I get bored of it. But nonetheless, congratulations on the win. 19 spots up from where you started. And you are locked in for the championship race at Chicagoland.
Sweet. Thanks, buddy.
Of course. All right. Trent Dinkle. Always fun to talk with him. He's always good with the branding whenever we go to his camera, his in-car cam. I guess you could say, I never like to call it an in-car cam when it's looking straight at him. It's not a point of view cam. It's just here's a look at the driver driving, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, the in-car camera, if you want to call it that. Nonetheless, unofficially, we can take a look at the playoff standings, and Trent Dinkle is in. The difference for Abner Acosta, he is plus 49 to the cut line, but everybody else, it's pretty tight. For third, Pat Harvey is plus 5. James O'Brien is plus 1, while Chris Hudson is now minus 1. Hudson was plus 2 coming into that one. James O'Brien was still plus 1, as we said. But Joshua Daniels, he goes from minus 10 to minus 3. That's a big gain for the driver of the 77. Luke Christian goes from minus 19 to minus 15. Jose Acosta had the biggest hit. He lost 6 points from just 16 back to now minus 22 as we get the rudimentary spreadsheet up on the screen. You got a good look at it there. You can check all this out on the PRL website. Get to it, precisionracingleague.com. Lots of information, lots of ways to dive in and understand the stats, the rule books, and hey, maybe even join a league next year so we can talk about you racing. But next week is Phoenix Raceway, while the actual real world series of the NASCAR Cup Series ends its season at Phoenix. We don't. We keep it going, and we still have 3 races left. And as we move into Phoenix, with the back stretch now being the front stretch after the last few years, it changed. It's always an interesting time seeing these drivers fan out as far as they can on restarts. And I do feel like the tensions will be high. It's notoriously difficult to get passes done here at Phoenix. It's a mild track that sort of races like a short track in some ways, but is shaped as a tri-oval triangle, if you will. But Dane, before we get going here, this I feel like that was a good Martinsville race, and it will leave us with these oval stock car series and PRL with a nice taste in our mouth, considering what we saw on Wednesday with all the cautions.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Phoenix is a track that's personally one of my favorite ovals. It's one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. I always do love a good Phoenix week. Whenever I see it in the official series, I do like to try and give it a go when I can. It's just crazy watching restarts and you see drivers going 4 or 5 wide, and the dog leg. It really looks cool. I do love it, and I think it's going to produce some good racing. It usually does. I'm very happy with it.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season will provide to us. But that's it from us at RaceSpotTV. From our race control with PRL, Nick Hunter, our producer Dustin Ollis, Dane Baird alongside myself, Dylan Coyle. Very much looking forward to what we see going on next weekend here with PRL Cup Series competition. But until then, I wish you a good evening, good night, and good racing.